Wow, I'm doing this. Welcome to this new podcast where I talk about God. You have no idea how much courage it took me to start this podcast, how often I found excuses or things I should get done instead of writing down the notes that I wrote down to talk to you guys about my experience over the last year. And I just want to say here, this is also actually something that held me back, because I was like, who am I to talk about Jesus Christ? And who am I to share my thoughts and my experience about this? I haven't read the whole Bible, just here to share my experience and something that I wanted to share over the last year. But as I said, it takes a lot of courage, and I never wanted to come across pushy, and I still don't want to come across pushy and push this on you. So if you're new here and you follow my Instagram and know me for a long time, I hope that you're open for this. Honestly, if someone would have told me 2 years ago that I'm going to talk about Jesus Christ and that I'm going to talk about God, I probably wouldn't have believed you. I probably would have rolled my eyes or would have been like, are you serious? But here I am, opening up about my journey, opening up about what I experienced over the last year and realized I have been experiencing over my whole life. And I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you decided to listen to this. And I just hope you don't judge. If this is so new to you, I hope you don't judge. And I just want to say again, I'm not perfect, and I probably might say things that I'm still learning, and I don't want to claim anything. I just want to share my experience. And you know how I just said when I thought about who am I to share my journey, who am I to talk about God? And then I came to the realization that exactly people like you and me should talk about our experience, should talk about our faith, and should talk about God. People like you and me, someone who before that never really talked about it, someone who has experienced a love of God they never experienced before, someone who didn't walk with God their whole life, although I would say I did, but unknowingly. Like we all, this is probably too much for some of you, but God has always been there, and I know this now. Even in my lowest days, I know that He was always there. And I know that this sounds too much for some of you, but I hope you stay with me. I hope you keep on listening. I have so much planned for this. I have so many notes written down, and I was quite curious how I'm going to go about this, because I know that sometimes I talked to my parents about this or to my dad the other day, and I feel like I'm just like overflowing, and I just have so much to say that like just sometimes so much comes out, and then I'm like, I should have taken it a bit slower. But talking of overflow, I feel like my cup is overflowing, and I have this urge to tell people about it. And I never talked about this to anyone who is really new to this. So this is quite vulnerable and quite out of my comfort zone. And I just hope that I can somehow inspire you, motivate you to keep on listening to my journey. And as I said, my cup is overflowing, and I had this urge like over the past year to find a way to share my story, to find a way to share, not my story actually, to share the good news, but I didn't know how. And I asked for courage. I asked for signs. I asked for the right words to say. And yesterday, or like over the weekend, I just was like, it's gonna happen soon. Like I had this feeling. So yesterday I sat down and I wrote like heaps of pages with what I want to say. And while I'm recording this, I don't even know the name of my podcast yet, but I was like, if I'm going to wait and if I let this stop me from starting to record this, I will probably never start recording it because I will always be like, I don't know the name yet. I don't have the right equipment. I don't know the future of this podcast, where this is going. I already have a podcast. Why am I starting a new one? And I also thought about, I don't know what to wear, all these things trying to stop me from starting this. And I was like, no, Johanna, you got to start it. You got to share your story. You got to share the love you experienced, the peace you experienced. Honestly, the peace that I experienced over the past year is just, I can't even put it in words, but I will try to put it in words. I also want to say here that I was really worried, or I am worried that I will say wrong things. Like I said, I'm really new to talking about my faith, and I just making myself vulnerable here and share my faith. And if I might say something wrong, feel free to correct me in a kind way, please. I'm here to learn. I'm here to grow in my faith. And wow, this feels so good to talk about this. But I just mentioned that I already have a podcast and I haven't posted on there in so long because something inside of me, it was like a resistance. Like I wanted to share about how things have changed, and maybe I'll do a podcast episode on there to guide people to this new podcast. But my podcast was a lot about mindset, lifestyle, things that are happening in my life, journaling tools, mindset tools. I also am a mindset coach or share mindset tips to group coachings, but I haven't posted anything on my mindset coaching page for so long because so much has changed, and I now know that so much more is possible with God, and I just didn't know how to share things on my mindset page anymore, because I know now, yes, I can do a lot by myself, or like a lot that I achieved I did because of my mindset, but I now know that God was always with me, and God led me to where I am today to do this, to talk about this. I probably had to go through different things to get to where I am today, to meet certain people. And I talked about this before, and I asked you guys on my Instagram if you believe in like a higher power, and so many of you said yes. So I just want to say here that higher power is God, who knows your plan. And this might sound just too much for you, but if you already say, yes, I believe in higher power, and I believe that things are meant to be, and I believe that things happen for a reason, and so on and so forth, then what are you believing in? Who is doing that? So for me, it's just so clear that it's God, and I feel like this is just the surface, and I just have so much to share, and I'm so excited to share all of this with you. I can't believe I'm doing this right now, and I'm just so glad I am doing it. And I've never talked that openly about it, but it just feels so safe just doing it to a camera. And I can't wait to see where this journey is going, and I hope that you stay with me. I hope that you keep on watching this. So where do I begin? I thought I'd just share a little bit about my journey. So I grew up in a Catholic household family. I got baptized as a baby. I went to communion when I was, I think, 8 or 9. I can't remember the age. We went to church as a teenager. Then at some point, not interested anymore, because I feel like Catholic churches are quite scary, or like quite strict. I don't know what the right word is, just kind of different. And I just didn't really feel like, I don't know, as a teenager, I was like, I don't know about this. I still kind of always believed in God, and I used to pray, but I didn't know what I know now. Like I didn't know, for example, that God is alive. I don't know if I missed that growing up, that part. I don't know if, for me, I don't know, in my memories, I feel like it was always God in the past. But then again, I feel like I didn't really listen to it in school. Like I went to Catholic school. It was really strict as well, the school. Like I don't know, I don't know how to explain it, but as a teenager, you're just like, now we're going to skip we're going to skip church and we do something else, or I don't know. But I feel like once I chose to learn more, I mean, I always believed there was a God, and when I got older, I turned back to him. I started praying. There was things happening in my family, and I remember how I prayed, but I feel like I didn't really know the power of prayer. I think I was just so desperate. I didn't really believe in the power of prayer. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like it was just never as strong as it is now. And I'm not saying that when I prayed before I didn't mean it, but I think I never had the full understanding and belief that I have now, and the faith. And how did I get here? That's probably the question you ask yourself. I don't even know how in depth like I started to understand it all, but I think one huge part was wanting to understand it more, wanting to learn more about Jesus, about God, and also just becoming aware of, or like just, like thinking about, we're living on this earth, on this perfect created earth, like perfect designed earth. How can there not be like a creator? Like the air is just right for us to get enough oxygen. Like the clouds stay where they are. The grass and the plants grow for us to then turn what's the English word? Sorry, I don't know the English words. Turn. What's the English word? Like the opposite of oxygen. Why do I not know this right now? I mean, I learned this all these words in German. So, but plants create oxygen, and like, how is this all like coincidence? How is this coming from a big bang? I think I just got so curious about all these miracles around us that I wanted to learn more about it. And social media is amazing. Like once you start looking into things, you see more and you see more proof. It's not that I was looking for proof. I was just like, I mean, this can't be all like a coincidence that we're here and that we're living in this perfect environment. There must be something, like someone who designed and created it. And I feel like just this curiosity and wanting to learn more. And I then came across The Chosen, which I can really recommend. If you're not looking for a Netflix show, even if you're totally new to this, watch The Chosen. And these memories came back to me when I watched The Chosen of Bible stories that I heard as a child, Bible stories that I heard as a teenager when I went to the Catholic school, and just watching it, just having like these emotion in the show, in The Chosen. I just was like, I got so emotional and I wanted to accept Jesus into my heart. And I feel like, again, when I'm saying all of this, this might sound just so whoa to some of you, but if you've been following me, I hope you know me like for a while now. And if you've been following me and you took my advice in like journaling, or you got inspired by how I talk about mindset, I hope that you are open to this as well, because this is the truth. And yeah, I just don't also want to come across pushy. I don't know how often I don't want to push this on you, but I just want you to be open, like I've been open to this, to experience the love and experience a life with Jesus. It feels so good to talk about this. So if you've been open to learning about like the higher power in the past, or like law of attraction, positive affirmations. I mean, there's nothing wrong with positive affirmations, but if you've been open to these mindset, spiritual practices, meditation, what else is there? Like gratitude. I really hope that you're open to hear this story that I'm about to tell you, or like this one way. Like I said, like over the past year, I didn't feel like sharing anything on my mindset coaching page because I learned so much and there's so much that I want to share, but I didn't know how to pack it in words, how to share it without you thinking anything bad of me. But I feel like one thing that I became clear on is that I want to surround myself with people that are not quick to judge and that are kind, loving, and are open to hear someone's story, like what I have to share. And I was then thinking when I wanted to start this, I don't want to come across pushy. I don't want to come across like I'm forcing anything on you. I don't want you to think this or that. I was like, I want to surround myself with people who are not like that, who are open to hear what I'm going through, what I experienced. I want to surround myself with people who want to get to know Jesus, want to get to know about this amazing God. And then I was like, I'm doing this for those people who are interested in it, who are open to learn about it. And I want to surround myself with more people like that. And I was like, that's the reason why I'm doing this. Like, I want to meet and connect with more like-minded people. But also at the same time, the reason why I'm doing this is to inspire and share the good news with people who have never heard about it. And so if you're new to all this, again, I want to say I'm so grateful that you are still listening. And there is so much I want to share. And in my next episode, I'm going to share my testimony, a bit more about how I met Jesus. Like, still thinking back, I'm just like, wow, that was like this one time that was just so overwhelming. And I hope that maybe one day you experience this too. And again, this might sound too much. And I feel like I'm going to stop saying this now because I'm just going to say the things that I want to say. I just quickly want to sum up what has happened in the last year, because the last year was a big transformation in my faith. And I'm going to share, like I said, my whole testimony in the next episode, but I'm just going to share some bullet points on how I started to get closer to the one and only God. So one big shift was probably watching The Chosen and just learning more about the Bible story, or like the Bible and about Jesus. And I can just really recommend watching The Chosen if you want to learn more. At the start, I was still not, I think the first season, I think there are 4 seasons now. There are, I think, 2 or 3 on Netflix. Otherwise, The Chosen TV, I think you can watch it. But the first episode or episodes, I was like, okay, give this a go. But then I got really into it. And honestly, I've never got that emotional or that touched by anything. Like watching that. And I don't even want to watch the last season because we all know the story. But yeah, it is such a beautiful show to watch, and I can just really recommend it to watch it. It kind of makes the Bible come alive, and I just want you to be open to it if you haven't watched it yet. But if you are a Christian, you probably have watched it. Go and watch it. You can watch it for free on the Chosen app. Also, another shift, like if you know me, like I said this before actually, I'm a big fan of journaling. Like I journal every morning. But one big thing that has shifted my journaling now, when I journal in the morning, is a prayer. I talk to God. I share what I ask him to shift in my life. I ask him for help. I share my gratitude. I share my thoughts, and I'm not sharing it with myself anymore. I'm sharing it with God because I know that he has a plan for me, and that plan is already written. Like it's already out there meant for me, but I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm trusting him with what he has planned for me. And all I'm asking is him to guide me there, to show me signs, to give me courage, for example, to do this podcast. And he already knows. But yeah, so that's something that shifted for me, how I journal. I really try to keep this in a chronological order so you can understand how I have changed or like how my journey went. I also surrounded myself with people who are Christian, and I started going to church. I think that was like a really big step for me. I really wanted to experience church here because I used to go to a Catholic church in Germany, which I said was quite strict or quite formal. I don't know how to explain it. Also quite intimidating for a little child in those old big churches. And I remember when I went to church here the first time, there's a band, like people like are just so open, so friendly. Maybe it's the New Zealand culture, I don't know, but it is so different. And you do worship, like you sing songs, not like those songs and like, don't get me wrong, but like Catholic church, there's like this big piano with those pipes and like really old school. I don't even know how to explain it, but just for me, like worshiping and listening to worship music, going to church, just feeling the love, it was just so different. I remember the first time I was still a bit like, a bit much maybe. I don't know. But honestly, now I'm like all in there. Like I'm like, yes, I want to feel the Holy Spirit and I want to experience God's love. And I don't know, I just really changed my relationship with God. It's also about learning more. I started reading the Bible. That's the next step that I'm going to talk about. How can a book that is 1,000 of years old fit so well to daily life, to what's happening in the world right now? Like that's another thing where I was like, whoa, this is literally the book that's alive, the word that's alive. If someone had told me 2 years ago that I'm gonna read the Bible, I would have been like, what? Nah. And here I am reading the Bible, I'm not like, here's another thing. I feel like a lot of people who haven't seen the Bible, or maybe people who've seen the Bible, are like, are you reading it like back to front or like chronological? Like, no, I'm not reading it that way. But I'm going to do a whole episode about that another time. But I honestly, every time I read the Bible, I just feel so at peace. And I feel like this intro episode has so much input. I feel like I'm talking like so much, but it's just, like I said, my cup is overflowing and I just want to share so much. But I'm going to share my whole testimony in the next episode. As mentioned before, I used to do a lot of mindset coaching. I have online group coachings and so on and so forth. And I help people to shift their mindset. And I always kind of told them or taught them like everything is in your power and you decide, and you are the author of your life, and everything that you need you already have within you. And now, I mean, I've never really said that, but now I'm like, yes, everything I need I have within me, and that is God. Like He is around me, within me, in my life, who is the only person who can get me to where I'm supposed to be. But I just really found it hard to continue posting on my mindset page without mentioning God. So that's why I stopped sharing stuff. And maybe I will combine it. Maybe I will add it to that group, to that Instagram page. Maybe I just start a whole new one. Maybe I just won't do that anymore. Who knows? God knows. I just know it. All of what I achieved wasn't just me. Like looking back, like everything that happened, like I'm really like, yeah, everything that happened for a reason. Like friendships that didn't work out, relationships that didn't work out, everything led me to where I am today. And everything led me to recording this podcast and sharing my story. And all along, there was God. And I feel like one really specific memory I have, and I might talk about this a bit more in the future, but some of you know that my brother passed away and he had cancer. And some of you might think, how can you believe in a God if something that bad happened? And maybe I will share more about this in the future. But one thing that I remember, or two things. One thing was when he got diagnosed 10 years ago or even longer. But one time he got diagnosed again when I was in New Zealand, the place that I am in now, a place that I call home now, the place that I love, made my home. But I remember I was in an Airbnb, not in an Airbnb, I was in a hostel actually in Napier. Crazy, right? I'm back here now. But I remember I was like bursting into tears. I just got the news. Wow, I'm recording this. I just realized that. It's the 10th of December right now. I'm not sure when I will post this, but it was before Christmas that I got the news, or my parents or my family got the news and then told me that my brother had cancer, or cancer came back. I don't know. This is not a coincidence. Anyway, I remember it was already dark outside and I was like sobbing. I was just like telling the girls that I shared a dorm with, I'm going to go for a walk. And I walked by myself through the dark to the beach, through some back streets. There was like a weird person that I saw and I was like just crying, and I was just walking past in the dark, little side road. It's not that Napier is really dangerous, but someone could have easily just taken me. I don't know. That's just me probably overthinking. But looking back now, I feel like God was so close to me, was with me, because he's there for the brokenhearted. And looking back now, I was like, he was walking with me all along in this alley, this dark alley. And I'm just like, I have this one, like the specific memory, and I'm just like, yes, he was there. And there are so many other memories when I look back where I know he was right there next to me. So yeah, I just gonna talk about more experience in this podcast further along, like share some meeting points I had with God maybe, or like where I felt, or looking back now at certain situation where I know or feel like he was there. But yeah, that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you're open to this. If you're new to this, I hope you're open to keep on listening. If you are already a follower of Christ, I would love for you to send me feedback. I would love for you to share this with someone who needs a new podcast to listen to. Yeah, thank you so much for joining, and I see you, or you see me, in the next episode.